Welcome to the Light Stand, guys. We have some very special guests tonight. A really good buddy of mine, someone that I text some really cool, interesting things to. We text back and forth. This dude I've known for a couple years now. Tremendous individual and even more tremendous musician. I've heard from people that he's one of the best at what he does, and that he is their preferred instrument to jam with. So I'm trying to, not specify too much, but this dude rocks. And his awesome wife is here with us too. So without further ado, we are introducing Manny and Andrea Pedraza in the house. Let's go.
Hello. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you for that awesome introduction.
Yeah, that was a great intro.
Oh, dang, we weren't recording.
Bye, guys.
So welcome to the Light Stand, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having
We're
us.
both truly honored to be here. I mean, we both look up to you so much,
Yes.
and it's an honor to be here, sitting down and recording this conversation with you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys, man. Like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's humbling. Like, wow, we didn't know that, you felt that way. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I guess because we're older. Is it because we're older, man?
No. We both have been huge fans of this podcast, this platform, and I think I had told you when I saw you at church 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like I can't hear this podcast at work because I will just bust out crying, and I just gotta be like, you know what? This is like an at-home podcast here, or like in my car. Because there are definitely some episodes that they just hit me in the heart.
Oh, that's awesome.
But we're huge fans, and I love this platform. It's always great to kind of hear from different guests, from like different views. So we love you guys. We're very thankful to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we respect you both. Your marriage. I probably haven't told you as much as I should have, but I look up to you as a man, as a father, and just truly honored to be here, man.
Dang, man.
Thank you.
Dude, I know you're not a crier, but I am. So, like, keep that to a level 3, Manny, from a 1 to 10.
Save it for the end.
Yeah, I will cry, bro.
No, I think after becoming a dad, I think he's gotten that soft spot. Because, I mean, I don't know if you've seen his driver's license when he was 18, but he looks like a G, like a choro. So
I might have to...
bust
See,
it
because
out
everyone that's
after.
listening doesn't have a reference, mama. And I can show you guys a picture, but then all the listeners are going to be like, I wonder what that looks like. So maybe, just maybe, I think let's set a goal. If this post gets at least 30 likes, I'll post the G picture.
Yes.
I'll post the G
Yes,
picture.
please post it.
So
Please show
y'all
us.
can see, what I look like. But
We all want to see.
just to give you guys a little glimpse here in person. I'll look for it and I'll show you. But we were having an awesome conversation. Manny and Andrea brought us donuts, guys. And not just any donuts. They brought some Krispy Kreme.
My fave, yes.
And our guests are amazing, and they're raising the bar. Because Steven and Cynthia brought us like a card. They brought us books, like individualized books
So cool.
for us to check out. These guys brought us donuts.
Come on, guys.
So, hey.
Whoever we invite.
Yes,
Next
y'all need to start.
Starbucks. Or...
The bar is just going higher and higher.
A car.
Yeah, hey, if y'all want to bring
I need
a
newer
Beamer,
car.
Yes.
I'm not going to get mad. I'm just saying. We are not.
Anyone that works at a dealership.
Yes, please.
We are not going to get upset. So I found the picture.
Ooh,
So
let's see.
I am going to toss my phone over to you, Mr. Manny.
God.
Check this out.
Oh, geez.
Oh my goodness.
For those listening, he looks like a true G.
He looks like if you bumped into him, he would for sure be upset and like beat you up for sure. Like, yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dang.
I would want to be strapped if I saw this guy in the street.
It's a 19-year-old. It's me at 19. This is my 19-year-old driver's license.
Oh my god.
And I have one like with the homies too. I'll show you guys later. But anyhow, enough about old me and pre-Jesus me. How are you guys, man? Like how? I know we were having an awesome conversation, but I want to just kind of slow down, and I want to know. We want to know who Manny is and who Andrea is. Are you guys born and raised here? Just kind of give us your story, man.
You want to start?
I'll start then. Yeah. So.
By the way, they're super smart guys. These guys are accountants. They're soon to be CPA certified, double platinum diamond. Like they're smart. So anyway, go ahead.
So for those who don't know me, my name is Manny. Born and raised in El Paso. I got to meet Art at church. I've been going to Vida Nueva for a while now. I play the drums there at the worship team. I recently got married to my wife, Andrea, so it's been about 1.5 years now. We actually, Art is right. We are both accountants. We actually work together.
We do.
Yeah,
I thought you guys work together.
Yeah, we work at the same company.
The same company.
Yeah.
We work on the same floor.
Same floor, different departments.
Okay.
It's been fun, but that's
awesome.
pretty much all to me. Just a accountant by day, drummer by night. So.
Nice.
You wouldn't expect it.
Rockstar.
Yeah.
Yes, you would expect it.
Did you grow up with both parents?
Well, yes. So I grew up with both parents, mom and dad. I always grew up at church since I was a kid. I have 4 siblings too. So
4 siblings.
4 siblings. We're 5 in total.
Oh, snap.
So
You're the
funny
baby.
story. I'm the baby. I'm the pilon. The mistake.
Oh,
no.
There are no mistakes.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Exactly.
My parents say they were planned, but my mom had me at 45, so I don't think she was planning. Or I wish she wasn't planning, but I think my oldest sister, I hope she doesn't listen because I don't know her age, but she's 50, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And it starts decreasing down to 41. Then it's me, 25.
Wow.
So
That's a
I
big
grew up alone.
difference.
Yeah, I basically grew up alone. So, yeah, crazy little story. I'm the pilon.
wow.
Wow.
So when you were born, these guys were pretty much all out of high school already.
Basically married.
Almost. And married. and
I think the youngest brother after me was living his last years before he went out to college,
wow.
and years before he got married. Yeah.
So you never experienced the whole older brother picking on you thing, like?
Not really. No. Yeah, not really. I think they were all. It's weird. Like they're more, like kind of parents to me because they were already grown, mature. So I think now I'm probably experiencing more with my siblings now that I'm older, live the same life as married. I think now we're connected more, and I think now I'm feeling that. Now they're picking at me. Now they're messing with me and all that
Gotcha.
stuff. So.
That's
that's cool.
awesome. That's cool.
But the sibling love is there nonetheless.
Yeah, nonetheless, the Pedrazas are close.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're super
Close
close.
family.
It's a really
Okay.
close home family.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so for me, for those of you who don't know me, I am Andrea. I am Manny's wife. We got married about two years ago, like Manny said. We're both accountants. We both work together. And I actually met Manny at church. Our moms were friends way before we even met. So it was one of those where our moms would go to the same church group at home. And so our moms knew each other there. And the story goes that we knew each other then because we were like the kids running around in the same house. So we kind of did know each other, but I don't recall. I have no memories of us being small and being in that home. But it wasn't until about Maddie and I were both in high school. We were both the same age. So we were about seniors in high school when we really met and fell in love and all that stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah, so we were high school sweethearts. And I was born and raised here. My home life, like my childhood, was a little bit different. So I have a very young dad. My dad had me. I was born when my dad was 17. And so I have a very young dad, which is also a funny story because my dad is about the same age as one of Manny's brother, like his next closest brother.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine that for us, like my dad meeting my suegro, so his like I don't even know how you say it, but like his other like his son-in-law's parents was a little bit awkward because my dad could have been their son. So Manny and I kind of have the opposite ends, where I grew up the oldest and he grew up the baby. So due to that, our parents are very different in age. And so it makes that kind of interesting.
Wow.
And yeah, so my dad had me at 17. At that time, my dad's family, so my grandma and like my dad's side of the family, they had just moved from Juarez here to El Paso, and so they had just bought a home. So I was born in July, and my dad started his senior year that August. So my dad was going into high school as a young dad, and so he was learning, and obviously I feel like I basically grew up with him. And my birth mom, she actually was not involved in my life. So growing up, I actually called mom was my a paternal grandma, so my dad's mom. So my dad basically ended up taking me in and kind of like having that single dad role, due to my mom not being involved in my life, which is a little caveat because I feel like it's more common to hear the story of a single mom, but not of a single dad. Yeah. And so my dad really took on that role, and me needing that mom figure, I really became very close to my grandma, but I don't call her grandma. She's my mom. And so in my eyes and in every context, like, she has been my mom. She's watched me grow. She's the one that I call, like, when I need help. Like, she has raised me as her daughter, even though I'm her first granddaughter. And so that was definitely an interesting and dynamic growing up. My dad got remarried when I was in elementary school, so I was about 11, 12. And due to that marriage, I have two siblings. So I have a sister. She's 11, going on 16.
Wow.
She is the cutest thing ever, and I feel like I can't wait for her to grow up so that we can be, I mean, we're already close, but I feel like I can't wait for her to get older for me to like have conversations with her.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I have a brother who is going to turn 9 actually next Saturday. And so, yeah, so he's just kind of like, he's just so funny. Like, he just brings so much sass into things, and he's so funny, and he's really into soccer and all of that. And so he's the cutest. But yeah, so I also kind of grew up like Manny, where we grew up with siblings with a huge age gap. But I think I'm on the opposite end, where I'm the oldest, and my siblings are so much younger than I am, and Manny being the baby with so much older siblings. So that's kind of like a little background on my story. And actually, similar to Manny, I grew up in the faith. So actually, my mom, she was the first one in her family to be Christian. So really, I owe my faith to her, and she is just a strong woman of faith. She is the most like God-fearing, loving woman that I know. And so for me, it really impacted me growing up, like seeing her in church and seeing her so involved and so in love with God, that I really credit her with the faith that I have now. Like, I literally grew up seeing her and watching her, and I know that obviously it might not have been like the perfect plan and the perfect childhood to grow up without being raised by my birth mom, but I also feel like it was God's plan for me to be raised by my grandma, because through her I found faith, and through her, like, I found God too. Now obviously that sounds like a nice little story, like, oh, everything worked out, but growing up, obviously, it was very confusing. There was definitely times where I was angry, where I was sad, because obviously I didn't grow up with my mom, you know, and so that was kind of confusing and like all of that. But
Well,
Also,
can I
yeah, go ahead.
kind of jump in real quick?
Yes.
I'm very curious, and you can share as much or as little as you want. How did that? Since you grew up with a single dad, and you were raised by your grandma, do you recall how old you were when you had when you became conscious of the fact that your real mom wasn't involved, and then about how old were you?
So I want to say that I was probably about in school. Like I think I was in kindergarten or like first grade. And I actually didn't realize that this wasn't normal until I was in school because I thought that everybody lived with their grandma. Because obviously due to this, like I lived my dad being a literal teenager, he obviously did not have his own home. Like he lived in his mom's house, and so I lived in that same house. And my dad, he has three other siblings, and so I grew up with my two uncles and my one aunt. So, and one of my uncles is only like 3 years older. So we all kind of grew up in this one home and this whole dynamic that I think at the time I didn't know that it was weird because I wasn't in school yet. So I feel like, and I have no memories of me being younger and asking questions and being like, hey, like, where is my actual mom? Like, why isn't she here? Like, why did she leave? Or why is she not in my life? Why can't I see her? And I think that's because my mom took on that mom role for me that I never had to ask. Like my mom, I truly felt in my heart like she is my mom. Like she literally, I felt like she's my mom in every sense of the word, except for the fact that she physically did not give birth to me.
Wow.
And so, but it wasn't until I got to school where I saw like, hey, this actually is not normal. Like people don't actually live with their uncles and their aunts and their grandma and their grandpa. Like they actually don't, like that's actually not the normal family structure. And so for me, it was probably around like kindergarten, first grade where I was like, actually like this is not normal because my friends have one mom and one dad and they live in the same house and they have other kids, like their other siblings, but that's what's normal. Like that's what is considered like the typical family. And for me, I was like, why doesn't my family look like that? Like I live with my aunts, my uncles, we all live in one house. Like I live with my dad. I always knew that my dad was young because when my dad would show up to my school, like my teachers would think that he was my brother.
Oh, wow.
And my dad and I look so much alike too. So even more so, they were like, is this your brother? Or who is this? And just picture when I was in kindergarten, my dad was like my age, 23, 24. So he was just a baby. So yeah, I want to say that it was around that age where it kind of hit me like, this is kind of weird. Like, I don't know what's going on. But it's funny. I don't have like a vivid memory of me asking my dad questions or my mom, like, and being like, hey, like, where is my mom? Like, where's my birth mom? Like, where is she? Why is she in my life? And I don't know if it's just because I already had a mom. So I felt like I never was missing that void. I feel like my mom was my mom in every sense. And I feel like everywhere that we went, she was like, this is my daughter. Like, she never made me feel like this is my son's daughter. Like, this is my granddaughter. She never made me feel like I was separate from her actual kids.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I feel like I never felt like I had that void. I obviously, as I got older, once I reconnected with my birth mom when I think I was already in middle school at this point. And so she actually lives in Juarez. So she actually lives in Juarez still to this day. And so it wasn't until I was like in middle school where where she reached out to my family, my dad too. And so I kind of met her for the first time in that sense. And really like talked to her, but it was obviously very weird. And I tell Manny too, I'm like, it's the strangest feeling to meet your birth parent and have no idea who they are. Like I literally am staring at the person who gave birth to me and I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like I'm literally carrying half of your DNA and I don't know who you are, and you don't know who I am.
Right.
And it's just a very strange feeling. And so,
How you said you were in middle school?
yeah, I must have been probably like 12, 13.
Okay.
Wow.
So still very young, but I think old enough to kind of understand like what was
Right.
going on.
Yep.
So yeah, that was definitely very, very strange. And I think even now to this day, close friends, I mean, obviously everybody that's involved in my life in terms of close friends, family, they all know this. But I think it's kind of hard to like explain the dynamic to people like at work or like outside of that, because they're like, oh, like your dad is so young, and I'm like, yeah, and then they see like a photo of my mom, and then they're like your mom's a little older, like what's going on? And I'm like, well, this is my grandma, like she raised me, like she's actually not my birth mom, but like I have to kind of go through the whole story, right? So yeah, that can be a little strange. But so obviously growing up, it being not the normal dynamic, I grew up with, there was some anger there was some sadness, there was some and obviously I think for my dad too, like I grew up with my dad, so my dad was growing up at the same time that I was. And so I think when I got to that like teenager age, like 11, 12, right around the time that my dad got married, I also grew up with like anger towards my dad too. Like there was just a lot of like things that I had realized that I had not worked through. And actually it was around that age where I really felt like I met God. Like God touched me, and like God literally, like I literally felt like God face to face was like, okay, like I had like a true encounter with God, because I had always grown up in the church, but I feel like it was that age where I really felt like, okay, God, like you are not just real in the world, but you're real to me. Like you are my God. And so yeah, it was around that age, and I feel like God really, I mean, literally only through God could I talk through this story and not have anger or pain or sadness. And even now when I think of my birth mom, I have no resentment. There's no anger there. I'm not angry at her. I don't feel like she owes me anything. And that really is only because God had to work through, and I had to really work through having to forgive, having to kind of work through all of my feelings, having to be sad, to be angry, all the feelings. And so yeah, I feel like God literally, only through God could I be the one, like the person that I am right now, because I feel like that was not a normal childhood, and that could have easily scarred me. And also I could have also gone through that same path where I could have had a child at a very young age too. But I feel like seeing my dad and seeing his own struggles and seeing how hard it was for him too, to have to raise me, to have to guide me, I think that really showed me like, God, like you have other plans for me. Like this obviously happened, you know, and so and I trust that I am not any mistake, that that God had me in his plans, that I was planned in like his will. Right. But obviously for me, it's like, okay, I know that he has something better for me too, though. And yeah, I feel like through God's grace, I was able to overcome, I don't want to say a traumatic childhood, but just a dysfunctional one. Like one that just wasn't normal, that wasn't a typical, you know, but I still grew up very loved. My mom and I are still very, very close. I love my dad. He's, in my eyes, he's still like the best man ever. And so yeah, awesome. So that was kind of a little bit of my childhood trauma.
Thank you for sharing that. That's an amazing story. Like, wow. I mean, it speaks volumes also of your grandma, like how she showed that love to you. And like you said, you didn't feel that difference from being a grandchild and then actually calling her mom. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. And she did a great job. I would have never known until Andrea told me. You know, even when we were dating, I kind of knew something was off because I know her uncle, her youngest uncle, which he's around our age. And I'm like, hey, how's your sister? Like, you know, how's your sister doing? You know, I was trying to hit her up, right? But he's like, that's not my sister, that's my niece. I'm like, what? Like, this doesn't make sense. But until I met Andrea, like, she kind of, you know, introduced that story to me. And like, I was so shocked. But that's more so because my suegra just did such a good job of just acting as Andrea's mom.
Right.
So that's
That's
No,
awesome.
yeah, she did.
yeah.
Yeah, so truly through her is the reason why I found God, like I found faith, and she really imposed the importance of not just a religion, but of truly finding God. And I really credit her with just with also being the person that I am right now, because when I was younger, when I was going through like that period where I was just angry or sad, she always had like a word of faith for me, and she always would point me to God. She would like, I can't even imagine her like as my grandma, like the amount of pain and hurt it must have caused her to not just for like me, for her son's daughter, but for her son, you know, for having to grieve the life that she thought that my dad would have, you know, and seeing my dad really struggle. I mean, he was a child with a child, you know, and he was by himself. Like he didn't have a partner to help him with that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, wow, like my mom really did. I credit her with just so much, because she is such a strong woman of faith. And even to this very day, like she literally, I call her with anything, and she always has like a word of God. She's like quick to be like, just pray about it. Like, I'm praying for you. Don't worry.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So she's awesome. She really is.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, man.
Yes.
Yeah. So you said that around that age is when you felt like you had that face to face with God of, not only do I believe in you, but like now I feel like I know you, like you're here. Can you walk us through that? Because like we understand you because we're Christian, but we have listeners that aren't. So how would someone that goes through something, maybe not exactly like what you went through, but like how would you identify that type of experience of like, okay, here's God now. Like you're not just someone that I hear about. You're like here, like I'm feeling you. You know, like the way you identified it at that age. How would you tell our listener that, you know, isn't Christian, that hey, God's talking to you, like, you know?
So I think for me, growing up in a family of faith, like always growing up, I would go to church every Sunday. It was what was normal. My mom, I would always catch her praying at 5 a.m. and in prayer circles and with worship, and I grew up in a very faithful home where I had rules on what I could watch, what I could hear. So I always grew up in this very Christ-based environment. However, I don't necessarily think that means that I was a follower of Christ, because I think people can confuse, and even more so somebody who is not a follower of God. Not everybody that goes to church is a follower of God or knows God intimately.
Right.
And I think obviously as a child, you do what you're told and you go to church. I mean, you didn't really have any choice, right? And so I never rejected God, but I feel like when I was younger, I was like, oh, like this is what I do. I just go to church on you know every week, every Sunday. I follow rules. I'm a good kid. I don't give my mom any problems, you know, and like that was the way that I lived my life. But I think I got to that age around the time that my dad got married, so 11, 12, where I was just so full of anger. I was so full of sadness. I was so full of just, I think that I was overwhelmed with the situations of my childhood. I felt like by my dad getting married, he was leaving me in a sense. Like I had always been so used to being just me and my dad. So by him getting married, I was like, what? Like, how could he leave? I mean, and obviously I was young, and I couldn't understand that my dad was a man, you know, and that he wanted to get married and all of this. And so through that, my mom, she took me to a Christian counselor, And so it was through that where I talked through my feelings, how I felt about my dad, how I felt about my childhood, all of that. And I would go because she would want me to go, and I would hear, and I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, like, yes, like, I need to forgive. I need to forgive my dad. I need to forgive my birth mom. I need to forgive, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, cool, yeah, whatever. And I feel like I didn't internalize it until it was just this one day where I felt like I was so tired. I was like overwhelmed. Like it's literally like those days where you're overcome with sadness, with grief, with like anger. And I think even more so being a child, you feel helpless. You feel like you have no voice, like you can't change anything because you're a child. Like you can't change the circumstances that are in your life. And so for me, it was just this one day where I just felt so hopeless that I was like, man, like I just feel like I'm so overwhelmed, like, and I just feel like, and also at that time, my mom was having me go to, like, I was starting to go to the church youth services. So I would go, and I was still very young, but my mom would force me to go. And so I was definitely on like the younger end there, but it was there too where I just feel like I took all that anger and sadness, and out of me being so tired of feeling like that, finally I think I literally gave up. I was like, God, I don't want to feel like this anymore. Like I'm tired of feeling like I'm angry. Like I can feel myself being angry, but it's like one of those where like you are even frustrated at yourself. Like you're even tired of yourself. You're like, okay, self, like I gotta stop acting crazy. Like I need to just chill. And it was just one of those days where I was like, God, like I'm tired. Like I'm tired of feeling sad and angry. I'm tired of not being able to move on, to move forward. I'm tired of feeling like every day is worse than the last day. Like I'm tired. And so it was just one of those days where I truly feel like that was all that God needed. That was all that the Holy Spirit needed to literally just touch me. And I always tell people, like, you'll know because you're never the same after. Like, you know when God is real in your life or when you've had a touch of His Holy Spirit because you're never the same. And I truly feel like there was a before and after in my life. In that moment, and I was so young. I was like 12, so looking back, I'm like, man, I was a kid, but I feel like you should never underestimate the power of God at whatever age that you are, because God can touch you where you are. And I think that all I had to do was just ask, like, God, I'm tired, I surrender, like I don't want to feel like this anymore. And I was just praying in my head, and I swear, like, it feels like I just felt it like, for me, it feels like heat all over my body. Like the Holy Spirit just touches you. And I mean, I'm a crier always. So I was just sobbing, like crying, like just having a whole moment. And it was in that moment where I also felt just the most peace, the most like love, the most like, I think growing up, I had also felt the rejection of my mom. Like no matter what, there was always that question of like, well, why did she want me? Like, why did she want to stay? Like, why did she, like, all those questions. But I had never felt more like wanted, more loved in that moment, and more like just like at peace. So that moment was just awesome. And I would love for everybody at church, like everybody that just is like even knows about God, to have not just that superficial knowledge of Christ, but to truly get deep down, because when the Holy Spirit touches you and when you have that level of vulnerability with God, like it's amazing. It literally is like, wow, God, like it's like a supernatural movement. And I think that only those that like know that moment and have had that kind of rock bottom know what it feels like. But for those that don't, or that don't even know about God, it feels like supernatural, and it feels like the most calming peace and just love that you've ever felt. Just overwhelming like feelings of just love, peace, joy. That's finally awesome. Like there's hope, like there's hope that things will get better. And that even if the things around you don't change, it's fine, because like God is literally with you. Like he's literally moving through this life with you. And so that's kind of what I went through at a very young age. And I truly believe, had that moment never happened, had I never reached that point, I feel like I would be a completely different person to who I am right now. I really feel like that was a before and after. Like there's a clear difference to who I was before that moment and now after.
Wow.
And you can tell, dude, I have chills just like hearing your passion about that moment, like about your encounter with God. It's absolutely undeniable, like what you felt, what you experienced. And it is sometimes indescribable because it's so tough to put language to the feeling of your encounter with the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
But dude, that was awesome. Thank you.
No,
Yes.
thank you.
I'm also in awe, like at 11, 12 years old that you said you were, and for you to have that language and for you to know, like be so connected with your feelings that you know that you felt anger, that you felt despair. Like, what do you think that, like, who gave you that language? Was it due to your mom, like taking you to the counselor? Like, how were you in touch with those feelings? Because I mean, at 11, 12, it's like,
Yeah, you don't even know. You don't
Right.
even like realize. I think for me, it was definitely working through my feelings with this counselor. I feel like my mom knew what she was doing when she really dragged me to go see her, because I really needed somebody to work through my feelings with, and for them to kind of put a name to what I was feeling. Because I would say yes, like I was very young, and so I didn't know. I was angry, but I didn't know why. And I was feeling hopeless, but I just couldn't tell why. And I feel like for me, I also needed somebody to walk me through the process of really forgiving my parents, of really forgiving them for just being young, for not knowing, for for all of that. And so yeah, I credit this person for also being such a pillar in my life. And I probably, this was like a follow through process for years though. Like I literally started talking to this person when I was around 11, 12, and I started even while I was in high school. So like having to go through a process of really forgiving somebody can take even years, and so and really being able to heal from that can really take so much time, but man, it's so worth it. So I would encourage anybody, if there is a really painful, really traumatic thing that has happened in your life, forgiveness is definitely not going to happen overnight, and I wouldn't think that it would. It can. God can do whatever he wants.
Right.
But I would also say, like, man, like God has the power also to really forgive you through a whole process. And I would say to just have grace over your own self too. And even now at 25, years later, I'm still like, God is still showing me areas where it's like, hey, you have to go back and you have to forgive, or hey, you need to work through this. And you'll know, because God will bring to your mind small memories, like from your childhood, from your past, comments that others have said that you're like, hey, why am I thinking about this? Or like, things that have hurt you.
Right.
And even now, like God constantly shows me like, hey, you have to forgive. Like, hey, this hurt you and you're still not over it. And so yeah, I think for me it's been really valuable to just talk through
That's awesome.
my feelings with somebody that was Christ based, and somebody that could really work with me and like guide me through the whole healing process.
That's awesome.
Shout out to all the therapists out there,
Counselors.
Yes.
counselors.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with Natalie yesterday, or a couple days ago. I'm gonna start going to therapy too. I told that to, shout out Lily. I told that to Lily, and
I went with her. Yes, that is Lily.
And she was like, "Yo," she's like, "That wasn't an answered prayer." I was like, "Girl, you've been praying for me to go to therapy." And she was, and because that's what she's studying. You know, she's studying psychology, and you know, like that's the route that she wants to take. And we've learned a ton from her. She is, oh my gosh, dude, we owe her so much. We love you, Lily. You know it.
Yes.
But anyhow, you said if you have gone to if you have gone through a painful experience or like a traumatic experience or something, not all of us though can consciously remember those experiences, because your brain actually has a thing where if it's too traumatic, it will block it from your memory. And those memories are only accessible through therapy, through in like a EMDR, or through like a, you know, when they kind of put you under, that sounds weird, but there's like an actual phrasing
Word.
for that. So forgive me if you guys are listening and you're professionals and I can't recall it from memory right now, but there's a thing and it will bring up everything. I know that because I'm reading The Body Keeps Score, and it's like
It's a really good book.
even if your conscious mind doesn't remember, the body keeps score. So how do you know that you might need therapy? And this again, shout out to Lily. It's called Be Curious. Be curious about yourself and about your body and about certain things. Like if you find yourself all of a sudden just feeling a certain way, like you were fine and all of a sudden I'm feeling ticked off, or I'm feeling sad all of a sudden, or I'm feeling like just inexplicably, you know? Like I was curious about my OCD. I'm like, where does this come from? I was curious about certain triggers that I didn't even know was a trigger. I didn't even learn the word trigger in the psychological sense. You guys just saw my G's picture, so I know trigger like weapon trigger, but like the word trigger, you know, from a psychological perspective of like, I wasn't familiar with that. But yeah, there's certain things that trigger me. And like we were watching a show, and then all of a sudden I just started feeling
Like an uneasy feeling.
so anxious and so like almost sick. And I was like, I can't keep watching this, because it bothered me so bad. I forgot what the show was.
I think it was Painkillers from Netflix.
Oh, I think I've heard of it. Yes,
like the pharma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Big Pharma, and you know, it's when they started prescribing Oxycontin
Okay.
Yeah.
to, you know, painkiller to people, and then they started getting addicted to it because it's an opioid and all this thing. And then so this guy, he has a family and he has a mechanic business, but he injures his back. Some guy was goofing around with the machine or whatever, and it landed on him or something. He had back surgery, and he just wasn't the same. He was always in pain, so he was taking Oxycontin, and he started getting addicted to it, and then to the point where the doctor wasn't wanting to prescribe it anymore, so he starts looking for it in the street, like flat out druggy.
Dang.
And you know, like now he's popping 2, now 3, now 4, and like he's falling asleep in his truck, like in the middle of the street. And his kids are like pulling him out of the truck in the middle of the night, like, Dad, what the heck are you doing out here? And he's all tonto, you know, all the.
It's a strong show.
It's very graphic in that sense, and it triggered the heck out of me, and I don't know why. So I want to know why.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I will say though that this, like, yes, like Lily has, I went with her, and so she has guided me through all of it. It's like having to go back in your memories and kind of having to, I mean, almost force out and pull out these memories.
Yeah.
And I will say that it sounds so nice to be like, yes, God changed me and it was awesome. But the process of and what I've like lived through with her was extremely painful. Like having to go back and recall things in my mind, like things that hurt me, you know, things that others have said. Like that process is very painful, which I think is why a lot of people don't want to go to therapy because they don't want to remember. Why?
Right.
Because it's very painful.
Right.
It's, going through these I want to say sessions with her. Man, I would go out of there just wrecked, like bawling, crying, like just because a lot of times these memories are so painful. However, it was worth it every time. Like there was never one moment where I walked out of there and I was like, man, I did all that for nothing. Like never. Because wow, like you just and it really is true. Like you give God all this pain, all these bad memories, all these horrible moments that you've lived through in your life, and he trades it for peace. And he literally just gives you peace, and now you're able to recall these memories but not feel so triggered, so uptight, so anxious, angry, sad. Like they won't trigger those bad feelings anymore. But I will say yes, like it can be, but for me it was a very painful process. It was having to go deep in my mind and just and be like, oh, like I do recall when this happened, and it hurt, and it really hurt me. For sure. And but I would say to anybody that is kind of scared to go through that process, I think that, man, like what God has for you on the other side is so much better. Like it's so much better to live a life of freedom. And so don't let that that fear of having to recall, of having to go through that pain, because man, like I am no longer a slave to those memories, to those horrible things that happened, to those words that somebody said to me. Like I'm no longer a slave to that. Like I'm like, man, like you live in freedom, like you, like I truly feel like I'm free from so many things. So yeah, so I would say yes. Like I totally got what you were saying. I was like, yes, like it's a painful process, but man, it is very, very worth it.
I'm no longer a slave to fear.
Yes.
And I think those that have the fear of going, I think it's more so also your mind kind of stopping you, because I think also the mind is a powerful organ in our body, and I think it's your mind trying to stop you to trying to remember those things that probably cause so much trauma. So I think for those that have that fear, I think it's just understand that it's your mind probably trying to push you back, and
the devil.
And of course the devil too, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's just it's good to know that you can push over that, and this therapy will help a lot.
Dude, there's a phrase that we love. It's because it's the truth. Hurt people hurt people. So I can think of and I'll talk to, at least for the guys' perspective, there's guys out there, I guess more like in the Mexican hardcore macho culture, there's guys that have an anger issue, and they have lived their life in a way where now they're using their anger to manipulate everyone around them to get what they want, including their spouse. Unfortunately, more than anybody, their spouse. And it's so sad because you don't have a marriage. You have a slave. And she cannot be herself because of who you're going to turn into if she doesn't do what he wants, type of thing. And you guys can interpret it any which way, and that's generational, bro. If you have children, your children learn the behavior. Children are so smart, and they pick it up. Years ago, we met a family that their little kid was just like him and this kid's like 3-4 years old at the time, and this kid, dude, had like an anger issue. And in my mind, I'm like, is it normal for these little kids at that age to have this little? But basically this little kid learned like a light switch that he can literally trigger tears on command. So I'm observant, right? I'm an observant person, and as I'm observing this kid with all the little kids, we were at a birthday party. this guy is controlling his little friends with his anger. And it's like, I want to do what I want to do. And, you know, and they're like, nah, I don't want to do whatever. Yeah. He's like, it's not fair. And, you know, he would just start like welling up and start like, I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And like everyone would kind of be like, all right, fine. You know, we'll play what you want to play. Mm-hmm. And he would just instantly turn the switch off and okay, everything's fine now.
Yeah.
And then I started
manipulating. He was manipulating.
He was, that is manipulation 101. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how? I'm a curious person too. For those of you listening, I'm a geek. I've said it in multiple episodes. I'm a science nerd, and I'm this type of person. And I was like, where did this kid learn that? Mm-hmm. And then the more we thought about it, I was like, oh, look at this kid's dad. And because this dude has an anger issue, you know, and he's a cool dude, or was a cool dude. You know, we haven't spoken in years. I'm sure he's still alive. Obviously, I don't want to say was a cool dude. But I was like, wow, you know? Yeah. So anyways, and now, you know, learning what we've learned and knowing what we know now, I can guarantee you this dude would be a totally different person after therapy. Because he would learn the root of his anger. Mm-hmm. And he would learn why, you know, everyone, that there was a break, you know, in his life or whatever. So that caused him to maybe use anger as a survival tactic to move forward in life. Mm-hmm. And that's his only mechanism to, you know, be productive or whatever it was. Yeah. I know of someone very close that he called me drunk. He was wasted, like midnight. And I could barely understand what he was saying. He was so slurred and so, and I'm like, good thing he lives very close. So I was like, where are you? He's like, I'm here. I was like, okay, I'll go. So I go and I'm talking to this dude and I'm just listening. And he said something that I'll never forget. He goes, in order to defend my mom from my dad, I had to turn into a monster. And I was like, oh, dang. And he's like, that monster is, that monster is now, years later, destroying my life. He's like, because I can't stop drinking. And I was like, and I told him, you know, after we were there, I was there for like 2 hours with this guy. Wow. Just listening to him. Yeah. And I was like, bro, don't see your monster as a negative. I was like, that monster helped you survive. Mm-hmm. That monster helped you get out of the situation that you were in. That monster helped your dad stop beating on your mom. That's what you saw as a kid, dude. What kid should, like, no kids should grow up, you know, seeing stuff like that. Right. So you had to do what you had to do. Mm-hmm. And it worked, right? Now, as an adult, with therapy, hint, hint, you need to go back to your younger self and be like, hey, younger self, we're safe now. I don't need the monster no more. It's okay. You know, you can go back into your closet and, you know, go with Jesus or something. Like, you know, you're good now. You know, yeah. I'm an adult. I'm in a safe spot. You know, but only, obviously, God. But therapy will do that. Mm-hmm. I even today, you were asking me how the men's breakfast was with this guy, with this amazing pastor, and it went awesome. But he said something. He said, yes, therapy can help heal the breaks in your childhood, but only Jesus can forgive sin. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dang, that's facts. Yeah. Definitely. I don't know. I'm talking a lot.
No.
Sorry.
That was awesome. I mean, we asked you guys, you know, how your upbringing or childhood. So
yeah.
That was awesome. That was a good conversation.
Yes. Yeah. Therapy is a good one. And I will say too, just to like add to your point too, it's important to also find somebody who not just you can talk to and talk through your feelings to, but also where that person also has the wisdom and and the guidance from Christ, because how you say, I have friends, you know, outside of the faith that go to therapy, but I don't see that change in their life, and I feel like it's because only God has the power to change our lives. Like only the Holy Spirit had the power to literally overnight change how I felt. And I think that, you know, you want to find somebody that you trust, that you admire, that you've seen their fruit, that you've seen that God has really called them to do that. And I truly believe it's a true calling. Like God has people that you know have that calling over their life to guide others in therapy and healing and in all of that. And so you want to try and find somebody that is really faith-based, that you know, because I think that you can talk about your feelings, about how you feel with anybody, with any friend, family, but it's like at the end of the day, the only one that we can trust and hope and that can truly have that change in your life is God.
Yeah, that's awesome. A good point.
Mic drop. All right, guys, that was a great conversation. Stay tuned for part 2. No, that's awesome, man. So let's just to kind of lighten the conversation up a little bit here.
That's an awesome conversation.
Yeah, it was an amazing conversation. I want to know, we all want to know, listening, how did Manny and Andrea become Manny and Andrea? I know you guys said you're high school sweethearts, but all right, let's just get down to the nitty gritty, man. Who hit on who? Walk us through that process.
There's kind of like, that's funny. There's two stories to it. So, I want to say I hit on Andrea first. So I'm the one who reached out. So it all started with an accidental birthday message. So I sent her a happy birthday message one day randomly on Snapchat. I don't know if anybody uses Snapchat nowadays, but I sent her happy birthday. I don't know why. I think she posted something and it wasn't her birthday. So I was like, oh, sorry. However, that was my thing. I was like, all right. Now I got her reply. Let's keep on talking.
I see what you did.
I knew it wasn't her birthday. I knew it.
So for those listening, wish your crush a happy birthday.
Hey.
That's
Even when it's not her birthday.
Fellas, if y'all are struggling to get a date, take notes, baby. This is a master talking right now.
So yeah, she replied and we just hit it off. You know, that was that. Then, I guess it was months later, Andrea hit me with what are we?
I did. I did. Because, so the context of this was that through Snapchat, you know, we're here talking, like, through this app. And we're talking on it pretty, I want to say pretty much every day now. Like, we're like, hey, how are you? How's your day? You know, we are juniors in high school at this point, almost seniors. So we're still pretty young, you know, we're just kids, whatever. Hey, how's school? How, blah, 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 whatever. And
okay, hold on real quick, just to make sure I'm good in my brain here. You sent her a fake birthday message through Snapchat.
Yes.
Wink wink, accidental. Through Snap, and then you replied through Snap.
Yeah, I was like, hey, it's not my birthday, you know, and then he was like, oh, haha, sorry. And
so then months passed by, we're just hitting it off, being friends.
This is all through Snap.
I think we you know what, we went out for the first time. So
through this, so context back. So through this, I think I was the one that put in that app, like, hey, just text me, like, through my phone number, like, not through Snapchat, like, here's my number, like, just text me. Like, I'm tired of having to go, because I don't know if you all recall, but back then, Snapchat would, I think it would erase your messages, like, once you sent them and, like, saw them. So I was like, just text me, like, whatever. And I obviously liked him too, so I was like, well, here's my number, like, just text me, you know, whatever. Nice. So, yeah, so we're there texting, and around that time, it was going to be Manny's birthday. So he invited me to go to Grimaldi's for his birthday. So that was kind of like our first outing. I brought one of my friends and he had one of his. So it wasn't like a one-on-one date.
It wasn't official yet.
Yeah, it wasn't like an official date, but it was kind of like a, hey, like, I'm going to go with my friend. Like, it's going to be my birthday. Do you want to come? And I was like, okay, like, I'll bring my friend. Like, cool. So it was basically like a date with me and Manny, with our two friends kind of being there, like, what are we doing here?
Shout out to my friend Beto.
Yes.
Because he didn't even know that we were going to Grimaldi's.
He got like tricked into it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, shout out to Beto if you're listening.
So through that, we just kept on talking, blah blah blah. But it had already been kind of months of this, like of us, kind of texting and everything. So obviously at this point, I kind of know, like, hey, I do, like, I like you, like, I think you like me too, like, we're being flirty, like, And I'll never forget. Do you recall, like, it was outside? So we would go to a VJ, what is now a VJ service, and we were outside of church. And I recall that I was waiting for my mom to pick me up. We were that young. I couldn't even drive yet. Wow. And we're outside of church, and I'm like, so what are we? Like, I literally hit him with the, what are we?
Good.
What's going on?
Good.
And what did you say?
Oh, yo.
Oh, no. Caught him off guard.
Yeah, I just caught him off guard. Like, his face was like...
We are brothers in Christ.
That is not what you said. No,
I didn't say that.
Oh, I was like, oh, wow.
I would not be here if he said that.
No, I think I did think about it. I was just like, oh, snap.
He was like, should I laugh? Should I make a joke? In classic Manny style, like, should I laugh? Should I make a joke?
I think when we were like 16, 17.
Yeah, we were 17.
And I was like, oh, gosh. I didn't think I'd get hit with this question at 16, 17, but I did. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? I like you. All right, let's take it a step further. Let's get to know each other more. And time passed. We went to college together, and that's when we made it official. Time passed more, and got married.
Hold on, bro.
There's a lot that happened in that.
Hold on.
Yeah, okay. Something about me. I'm horrible at context, right? So,
hold on. What did you answer? What did you actually answer?
I said, you know what? I do like you. I'm really attracted to you. I think you're an amazing, at the time, girl. I think you're awesome. So yeah, let's get to know each other. Little context: her mom wouldn't let her date, so we couldn't make it official. So
Okay.
I was not allowed to date until I was 18, or technically out of high school. So at that time, we were about to start our senior year. So I was still in high school, so I wasn't technically allowed to have a boyfriend.
Which now I'm like, why'd you throw that? What are we? You couldn't date.
I wanted to know. I was like, what's going on?
Just because I wasn't allowed to doesn't mean I didn't want to.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Exactly.
Right?
And so for me, it was like, hey, like, am I wasting my time here? Like, what's up? What's going on? Like, let me know. And so that was kind of, I just came in guns a-blazing. I was like, what's up?
Yeah,
what's going on?
Andrea was very mature since the beginning, I think.
I was like, I'm not playing games. I'm not going to mess around. So ladies, do not be afraid to be like, what are we?
Exactly.
What's going on?
Yes.
You like me? We're talking. We're going out. What are we? What's going on?
Preach
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Preach.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if he's a man's man, he will tell you,
Oh!
we are this, we are that, or he won't go around with games. Like,
Exactly.
what are we?
Yeah.
What's going on?
There you go.
Yo.
Yes.
Let's just take a moment real quick. Shout out to our friend Ale. We're gonna take a quick note from Ale's book. Dun 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 dun. I'm gonna say it again, Andrea. If he is a what?
If he what?
If he is a man's man.
Yes, if he is a man's man, if he is a man of the Lord, if he walks the walk, talks the talk, like practices what he preaches, he will let you know the truth. He'll let you know exactly how he feels. If he doesn't like you, doesn't want to be with you, he'll say it. If he likes you, he wants to be with you, he'll say it. If he doesn't know, if he's not sure, he'll say it. Like, you gotta know, like, what's going on.
Come on.
Yeah, you gotta know. No matter what, you gotta know what's up.
So since we're on the subject, if for our younger sister, listeners, 15 to 20, hey Andrea, this dude, he's talking about trying to be friends with benefits. What is your advice?
Gotta cut it. I would just say, like, know who you are. Like, who are you? Like, you literally deserve And I think I don't like it when people say like, no, we don't have to have any title. Like, we're just figuring it out. No, like, you deserve a title. Like, because
Right.
God has called you. God placed a title on us. Like, we are called to be his. So you deserve to be like, I am somebody's girlfriend. Or if you're not there yet, we are an item. Like, you and I are getting to know each other romantically, and let it be known. Like, let it be known that, like,
Right.
we're not hiding around.
Right.
I'm not talking to other girls that you don't know about. I'm just trying to get some kisses here and there, and like, but then we're
That's
just
good.
friends. Like, no, like,
Yeah.
if somebody really likes you, and this goes both ways for guys and girls, like, if somebody really likes you and they want to be with you, they won't be shy. They won't be embarrassed of you, that they're not trying to hide you in a corner. They're not trying to, and I'm not saying like, oh, we went out once and now we're dating and now we're going to get married. No.
Right.
But if you have those intentions, and if you are trying to pursue somebody in a godly fashion, then you will make your intentions clear, and you'll be pure, and you'll be like, hey, this is, I want to talk to you in a romantic way. Let it be known. Like, I'm going to let you know. Or, hey, you know what? I don't really like you. I'm not down with this. Okay, that's fine. Let it be known. Like,
Right.
just say what's going on. And I think that so many times, like, people just get lost in the, oh, I'm not sure. Oh, that, we don't know. Like, that gray area, like, no.
Right.
There is no gray area in dating. Either we are or we aren't. And I'm not saying that you have to take it serious from the first time you go out. No.
Right.
There's like a talking period or whatever. But even in those realms, there are like standards and rules. Like, hey, I'm getting to know you in a romantic way. I'm not talking to anybody else. There's nobody else that I'm pursuing. I'm not saying we're gonna get married. I can't promise you that. We're getting to know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
But let it be known, like, it's just you. It's just me and you,
That's
and we're
good.
both on the same page.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
You know?
awesome.
And touching, on Andrea's base, for all the male and boy listeners, just be a man. I mean, a man is loyal, a man is intentional. A real definition of a man is,
Right.
One who's loyal, one who's intentional, romantic. So I think, just be a man.
You sound like you read Four Pillars of a Man's
Oh, I
Heart.
sure did, man. Yeah. That book is amazing. For all those listeners, we really have to read that book. It's Four Pillars of a Man by Stu Weber. Amazing book. I read that book prior to getting married. I think I was engaged, and it just, just changed my whole perspective of what a real man is.
Wow.
Love
awesome.
it, man.
Yeah.
All right. So, Manny, question for you, man. You guys dated, right? You out of high school, you guys made it official. And when did marriage start kind of crossing your mind?
I think marriage was always in my mind. I think I was raised, in a very Christian-based home. So my mom always implanted in me, like, hey, like, marriage is a big thing. So, whoever you choose wisely, and, be intentional about getting married. And when I met Andrea right away, I kind of already knew the impact Andrea had in my life, and how she has defined my life as to who I am now. I kind of already realized, like, yeah, I want to marry Andrea. This was like right into college, already determined, I truly love Andrea. Andrea really makes me and shapes me to a better person. So I want to marry her. So that was always in my mind. Now, I always had that intention of, I want to get married right when I, graduate, once I get my job. So I graduated graduated UTEP. 2020, I got my first job, my first, accounting
Big boy
job.
job,
Yeah, big boy job. And I was like, all right, now we're making money. Now, we're saving money. Now I can get married. I think it's also important to understand from wanting and actually being able to, it's good to prepare. So I prepared for that moment right when I got my big boy job and popped the ring.
Nice.
Okay, hold on. Let me rewind the clock here real quick.
Okay.
And this is important because we have listeners who've been dating for a minute and they're just not popping the question. We have listeners that have been dating for, how Natalie says, years. and they are not popping the question.
Right.
So you said something key. I when I felt like I loved Andrea or something along those lines.
Right.
Okay, how did you guys? And this is a question for both of you guys. How did you identify? Oh snap! I love this person.
I identified it first when I noticed how I just became better. Like, you know, us both being Christian, I first off I noticed how Andrea was making me spiritually stronger and better. She pushed me in a spiritual way, also too in a worldly way. She pushed me to be better in school, at work. So that's when I noticed, you know what, I am a better person with Andrea, and I love Andrea for that. And also too, I mean, I couldn't see myself without Andrea at that point anymore. So that's when I determined I truly love Andrea.
That's awesome. And that's good. I mean, keyword, she added to your life. She made you better. You grew because she was stretching you. So no, like, he makes me happy, or like your happiness doesn't come from the other person. Like they add to your life.
Exactly.
So that's very important. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that for me was also a very similar moment where I just kind of realized, like, man, like Manny has shown me so much about myself, like so many areas of my life that I didn't even know like were there. Like I feel like Manny was showing me like facets of who I am, of who I was that I didn't even know, and he was also like molding me to be better, to be smarter, to be wiser, to be more kind, to be more open-minded. He was really showing me that that there was like so much like beauty out there, and I think that maybe I grew up a little reserved, a little conservative, and I think that Manny was showing me like that there was so much out there, like there was so much beauty. And I think that Manny, I think to his core is an artist. Like I think that he has, I mean obviously he plays drums and I'm his number one fan, but I think also in like other ways too, like he just showed me like so much beauty and like so many cool things that he just opened up my eyes to. And I think also it was just that like that young love too, of like where we were both in a really pivotal time in our life. We were in college together. We majored in the same thing, so we didn't have all classes together, but we had some, and so that was like cool too. And we were really growing up together, and I feel like that for me was so pivotal in my life because we had seen each other through the good and the bad. Like we had really seen each other through our lowest lows when we were like stressed out over tests and with work, and you know with our parents and our family and like all this, to our highs, to graduating and getting our first jobs and all of that. And so yeah, I think that the moment where I first realized was where I was like, man, like I really can't picture a future without this person in my life. And when I picture the future, I'm including him in my plans. Like when Manny and I grow up, we're gonna do this together, or like, oh, I want to do this with him, like with him there, you know. And so then that's when I just kind of realized, like, wow, like I do want to be his wife one day, and yeah, and it happened.
And to touch on the topic that you brought up about those dating for a hell of a long time, we did too. Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't ask this, but how long do we officially date for?
We officially dated, you asked me to be your girlfriend in 2019, and we got married in 2022.
But we were talking even before that.
We were high school sweethearts, yeah. So it had really been years.
Really since 2016.
Yeah.
And we everyone asked us like, man, like why haven't you popped the question, blah blah blah. But no one knew behind scenes we were always very communicative about that. And I think that's a taboo nowadays with relationships. They don't like to talk about that. Like I don't know, maybe there's reason behind it. Maybe they're just afraid of commitment, but behind doors we were always talking about that, like, hey, like after, you know, once we graduate, once we, you know, get our big boy jobs or whatnot, we were always talking about it. And I think some relationships nowadays don't talk about that. They're just living year by year by year, and
because they don't plan it. I think that people saw us get married, and I don't know if like people thought, oh, it just happened overnight, like we just got married, and I think also because when we got married, we had actually already purchased our first home, and I think people saw that and they were like, oh, it happened overnight, like they just did this, but it was years of work. We had worked years to get to that moment where we were in a place financially, spiritually, emotionally, where we even had that possibility, and God's grace and favor in our lives. But I saw how hard Manny worked at his first job, to be able to, earn the money to buy the ring, to plan for that future, and I saw him talk about the future. He was that role model for me, where he was constantly challenging me to think years ahead, like, oh, but because I was like, oh, we'll just, we'll get married and we'll just, rent this place here. And like, I feel like I kind of went into it trying to think small. And Manny challenged me and he was like, no, let's do this. Let's buy this home. And he was like, no, but when we have kids, I want them to have this. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, what? Like, we're really going to get married. But he was for me, he was a true leader, where he was guiding me and looking, he was not being nearsighted, but he was like, but what about the future? Like, I want to take care of us in the future. Like, so I saw the hard work. And I think for a lot of people, like I would say that, that you don't know so intimately, they see your life and they're like, oh, you're just so lucky and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this was hard work, man. Like, I saw how hard Manny worked. And so, and yeah, I mean, to all the people that, to all the girls out there, I think that that's definitely a quality that you want to see in a boyfriend, in your future husband, somebody that is planning on taking care of, like somebody that is, and I'm not saying like, oh, so that I don't have to work, or no, but like planning, because that's a man's role. Like, that's Manny's role in my life, biblically, is to care for me, is to plan, is to prepare. And biblically, like, God has called a man to work. Like, the Bible says, like, by the sweat of my brow, like you're gonna work and you're gonna earn things. And I saw Manny do it. Like, he didn't just say like, oh yes, I'm gonna buy you this and I'm gonna buy you this home and we're gonna get married. He was like, I'm working for this. So I truly saw Manny, like, not just talking about all these plans, but he was working his butt off to make it happen.
He showed you with action.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Dang.
That's awesome.
I felt relatable in a good way and in a not so good way, because I remember, we dated for 7 years before we got married, but it's a little bit of a different story.
That's where the years come from. I was kidding.
We also met when we were 16, junior year, so high school sweethearts. But we were so immature, so we had
not how to do it. Like, don't do this.
Yeah, we can make an episode on what not to do, guys. Yeah. That's us. Had kids out of wedlock, because God was nowhere near in our life.
We knew of him, but we didn't.
No relationship. Like, we know he's up there, but I don't care. Like, we were living like he didn't, exist. We're parents at 20, and then at 21 with number 2, and then we had a split up for 18 months. Yeah. And then church comes into my life through Luis and Liz, and I accept Christ, and I'm going to church by myself as a single dad. And then that's like, hey, you're changing, like, you're different, like, what's up? And, we should try this again. And that's when I was like, the only condition is that you need to come to church with me, because my wife has to love God how I love God. So that's that whole thing. And then finally at 23, we got married, which wasn't romantic by any stretch of the imagination. We were busted, bro, super, broke. So I was like, babe, when we get married, I'll buy you the moon. And the closest I've gotten to that is like a cloudless, night sky. I'm like, there you go. It's like, so, but anyway, like I always worked hard to provide and for our family or whatever, just to move. I mean, dude, I was selling plasma at one point to buy freaking formula and diapers or whatever.
Yeah.
We did what we got to do.
Yeah.
But ladies, un huevón no va. Is basically what we're saying.
Yeah.
Is a lazy bum on the couch ain't cutting it.
Right.
Yeah.
If homeboy is 30 some and he's living with mom, that's pretty clear of that's not the guy.
Yes. Exactly.
Just in a way.
Yeah.
Because those guys you rarely change. Anyhow. Okay. So do you have any questions you wanted to ask?
Later.
Later. Okay. So I'm trying to be on the same page with you.
Yes.
Nat and I can like read each other's minds sometimes. Just like with a look.
It just happened in marriage. I feel like as we grow, like I'll just give him a look, even more so like at parties or something where I'm like, I want to leave.
Yeah.
So I will literally just look over and I just give him that look, and it's like I want to leave.
Oh snap,
look.
guys! I need to go.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, I just forgot. I have a thing. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
That's fun.
Okay.
Look.
And we were at your guys' wedding, man, and we feel super honored to have been invited. It was so beautiful. Beautiful venue.
Yeah.
If y'all are familiar in El Paso, there's this beautiful event place called Grace Gardens. And that's where these guys had their wedding. Absolutely picturesque, spectacular. Quick side note, fellas, don't use money or lack of to not get married. Because that's an excuse. Because Nat and I have been married now this is going to be our 15th year, and we still haven't had a wedding. Just because we just could never do it. Like, we were always just trying to put food on the table for our kids. We will have one, because you deserve one, mama. Like, a nice, the whole thing.
Anniversary.
The whole thing. So that's coming. But I was like a man's man, right? It's like, hey, you know what, dude? We're gonna get married, and we just went to the court and got married, and I think it was like $70, $80, whatever it was. Yeah. And we'll figure it out. We'll figure out the rest. Yeah. Manny's the planner. We're thinking about the future. Like, what are we gonna do? I don't know, babe. We'll figure it out. But all I know is we need to get married because it's right in God's eyes.
Exactly.
So anyhow,
and also think too, like I think also in long dating too, I think that if you're younger and you've been dating for like 6-7 years, like you have to consider like temptation nation, like you gotta keep yourself pure, and like there's also the longer you wait, the more you truly do open up that door to a temptation, to all of that. So you want to make sure like you you keep yourself pure for the day of marriage, and even if not, there's like God has a plan for all of us. But yeah, I mean, to want to get to there. Why are you laughing?
That was tough.
Let's call it what it is. It was hard.
Yeah,
it was tough.
And waiting too.
You can't see because there's no camera, but Manny's literally sweating a drop of sweat.
Yeah, he turned another shade.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him.
Remembering those days, yeah.
Yeah. So it's healthy, guys. Get married.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are about to celebrate your 2-year anniversary.
Yes, this May.
Okay, so being walk us through your experience. Okay, is there? Well, let me narrow it down because this is another topic that we could probably do another episode with you guys. Name one thing that you wish you would have known before you got married. And I want both answers here. A guy and a girl.
So, I'll go first.
Okay.
One thing I wish I knew, and actually one of my closest friends told me this, Josue Talavera, shout out to Josue. One thing, because they got married before us, so we would hang out with them, and they were kind of, kind of explaining their marriage too, at the beginning. So we got super close to them once they got married. But one thing he told me, and I remember it to this day, and it's actually advice that I give to friends who are planning to get married. But that advice was, learn to forgive quick. Just learn to forgive. Like, don't hold. I'm one, I was telling you guys before this, I'm one to bottle up things, and I'm one to hold resentment and stuff like that. But something that I learned that helped within our marriage a lot was just learning to forgive. Like, Andrea did something to tick me off. I'm just going to forgive her right away, then and there, and then communicate. Hey, I didn't like that, or hey, I didn't like that you did that. But just learning to forgive her right away was something I wish I would have known before getting married.
Gotcha. That's good.
Yeah, it's a really good one for sure. I think that forgiveness is a huge part of marriage. I think just every life, but in marriage, even more so.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I wish that I would have learned, and I feel like this is more of like a girl thing, was that I wish I would have, like, some people would have told me that, like, the insecurities or the insecurities or like the feelings that I had before getting married don't go away just because you are married. So I think that, like, for me personally, like, I felt insecure about, like, oh, like the way that I cook, or like the way that I dress, or like the way that I am, like the way, like, no, like, they were just like small things. And so once I got married, I think that sometimes I just like planned out in my head that Manny would fill those voids for me, like, oh, but I'm gonna be someone's wife, so he's gonna fill all these needs for me. And it's like, actually no, because the only one that can fill those needs is God. And so I think that sometimes, and I see this a lot when like, there are girls that feel like, man, like, I still haven't gotten married, like, oh no, like. And I see that more like, oh, but when I get married, then I'll feel good. Like, then I'll feel like this. Then I'll feel whole. Then I'll feel complete. And it's like, no, like, the way that I felt before I got married is the same way that I feel after I got married. Obviously, Manny added so much joy to my life. He is a huge source of my joy, of being happy, of all of that. But he, at the same time, is not the sun. Like, God has to be at the center. And if you're feeling some type of way before you get married, if you think that marriage will solve that, it won't. Like, if you think it'll solve your internal conflicts, things that you haven't healed, or all of that stuff, it's not going to go away once you get married. And I think that people don't talk about that enough, especially I think to, like, girls that idolize marriage. I can definitely see that, like, that's something that that does happen nowadays. Like, I want to get married because it's going to be perfect, and I'm going to have somebody to take care of me, and they're going to tell me they love me every day and how beautiful I am, and this and that. And it's like, no, but that really does come from God. And even if you're married, and even if you have a husband, you can still feel lonely. You can still feel, ugly. You can still feel sad, so it's definitely best to resolve that while you're single, before you get married, because once you get married, like, you combine that. And so, yeah,
that's very good.
That's important.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very good.
Love it.
I wish I would have known that.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, very important.
Okay. What is as you started your marriage journey and living together, what is or was your biggest pet peeve about each other that you had to work through?
You go first.
I think for me, so I grew up in a home where, and I want to say a lot of these things come from the way that you're raised. So obviously, Manny and I were raised both in Christian homes, but our moms have different backgrounds. So my mom still works to this very day, and my suegra is a stay at home mom. So I know that Manny getting married was used to a different lifestyle, And I was used to being a little more independent in that sense because my mom worked. And my mom worked 12-hour shifts. So from 7 to 7, she was out. And so I would figure out food or whatever. I would just figure it out, And so getting married, one thing that just, man, really bothered me was, and still to this day, but is when Manny will leave dishes in the sink. He'll just, eat something, make a plate, and he'll just leave it in the sink. And I'm like, and I will tell him, I'll make this comment, so you're waiting for the maid to come and clean it, or who are you waiting, who are you waiting on? What's going on? Are you waiting for me to come and clean it? But because I noticed, even when we were dating, that Manny would eat and Manny would just get it from the table and walk away he was done. And so my suegra would go and get his plate and clean it, wash it, and have it done, or Manny would leave it in the sink and he would just walk away. And the next day it was all clean. My suegra had already cleaned everything. She put all the food away. It was done. And so getting married, I was like, we both work in this house. We both work full-time jobs. We're in this together. I'm like, I wash my own dishes, you wash your own. I'm not asking you to do anything crazy, but I'm and for some reason it's just, it gets me. I feel like I cannot sleep at night if there are dishes in my sink. That's my thing. I don't know why.
I've heard that so much, dude.
Yes, yeah. I can't. There has to be no dishes. I feel like if there is, there's food, there's food scraps there, my house will smell, my sink is dirt, I don't know, I just can't. And man, the way that I see Manny, just leave a cup, leave a spoon, leave a plate, and I'm like, oh my goodness. That, and a little one that that isn't a pet peeve, but it's just a habit, is that as soon as he walks in the door, he starts undressing. First he'll take his shoes off, then he takes his shirt off, then he but he'll leave his clothes in
a trail.
Trail.
a little trail. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Manny was here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Manny's like, this is my house, bro.
Yeah, literally. That's what I say too. Who's coming?
I could.
I can do what I want.
Yeah. Man, I miss those days. Back when I... Just kidding. No, yeah, that's one thing. I just hate washing dishes. I don't know why. And I feel bad. And, I try my best to remember. I try my best to build a habit to wash my dishes. But I just truly, with the passion, hate it. I hate it. I don't know why. But anyway, one of my pet peeves is when Andrea does not iron her clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Now Sheila gets out of bed, puts on this, super ranky shirt. Looks like it was mascada by a vaca. And she's like, oh, I'm going to work. And I'm like, when are we going to work? Dude, work. Also, dude, we work together. So I'm like, no, and I have to iron it for her. I have to get it and iron it for her. But that's my pet peeve, her not caring about that. But it's been getting better now. She irons her shirts now, and I wash my dishes every now and then.
Oh yeah, I have no problem leaving the house with it. There was one time where Matt and I were gonna go to buy some groceries, to Costco or something. I just put on a t-shirt, whatever, some jeans. And Manny looks at me and he's like, you're going to go with that shirt? And I was like, yeah, we're just going to go run. Who's going to know? And I was like, even if somebody sees me, who cares? I don't care. And he was like, no. So he literally makes me take off my shirt so we can iron it. So we can go to the store.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what is going on?
But that's something my mother implanted in me. My mom would always make me iron my clothes. Doesn't matter if I was going to go play at the park. Just iron it. I don't know why. Wow. Yeah, it was a big thing.
I've seen Manny iron t-shirts to literally go to put gas. He literally, you will not catch him with a wrinkle. He just he would iron his underwear if he could.
Oh wow, los calcetines ahí.
Starch them they're
oh my gosh.
My socks got crease, bro.
Nah, it's not that bad. But...
Yeah,
I gotcha.
He's just the ironing. Yes.
Nice.
Gotcha. I love it, man. Hey, no, thank you for being transparent.
Yes.
Thank you. And for those of you listening, yes, all couples have stuff. You can sit there and pretend that everything's hunky-dory behind your door, we all know that's a bunch of BS. We all have stuff. So I applaud these guys for being vulnerable and for being honest. Because we could call all of y'all out trying to say, oh, no, she's perfect and he's perfect. And no, we love everything about each other. Come on, man.
The lies.
We're human. So
when we got together, it was, oh man, it was tough. And like you said, Andrea, like how you grew up has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you want to share?
I know you want to say something, right? So just let it out.
Really quick. I'm also the oldest of 5. So in our house, we always had carpet like around the house. So when we moved in together, his house, his parents' house, it was just ceramic. There was no carpet whatsoever. So I was used to being barefoot with socks or no socks. So when we moved in together, I would also just be barefoot. So then I would jump into bed with my feet like that. And he was like, oh, heck no, you're going to wash your feet before you come into bed.
I was like, who walks around
like,
barefoot in their house?
Clean. They're clean.
In their tiled house.
But yeah, talk about OCD.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm like,
because the bottom of those feet were a whole
no,
nother color
No,
than the skin.
no, they weren't.
Babe.
My feet were never dark or dirty.
No?
No.
After walking around barefoot
No,
for
sir.
hours.
Nope.
There were not another shade. No había tierrita cuando te bajabas de la
No,
cama.
señor, usted se lo estaba imaginando.
Ah, okay. Imaginary dirt on my sheets. Yeah, I was like, ooh,
But yeah,
that
that
is
was-
not gonna fly.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Talking about feet. There's something Andrea does that pisses me off.
About feet.
Yeah.
Oh, man, every time because she never wears socks at the house. She always wears like slippers.
Okay.
I'm like a slippers girl. I
Yeah.
have like a special pair of chanclas for my home.
For the
Like
house.
home
Okay.
chanclas.
Like the sandals or like pantuflas?
Pantuflas.
Oh,
regular,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, for like summer, some chanclas, and then for winter in the cold, yeah.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Slippers.
Little, yeah.
Right
Okay.
before she gets on the couch or in the bed, she does this like she crosses her legs and starts like shifting her feet, like shaking off the dirt.
I'll literally be like this.
But
I'll
Like from the
be-
chancla.
No, barefoot.
Oh,
Like
okay,
I
okay.
will take off my shoes,
Yeah.
and then my 2 bare feet, I will like, I mean you can't see it, but like I will like
Like rub them together?
rub them together,
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm getting like whatever dirt or whatever
Lint or
like
whatever,
lint
yeah.
or whatever off,
Yeah.
and then I'll get into bed or I'll get on the couch.
Okay.
And for some reason, like Manny hates it.
Oh,
He's
wow.
literally like, "What the heck are you doing?"
Like, it looks ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? Like, you wear slippers. There's no dirt in your, feet. There's nothing. There's
I think
Loose
it's
it?
just out of habit.
It's like
I
a
just-
lint thing, maybe?
Yeah, it's like a.
I feel like I would be doing that too.
Yes,
Yeah.
like I don't know why I feel like I have to, and I always do it. Always, I get into bed, I get on the couch, I'll literally like do a little foot shuffle, and then I feel like okay.
or like for like a minute.
Oh,
So I'm there
Hey.
watching a show, or I'm about to go to bed, and I just hear like this like random like noise. I'm just like, what the heck is going on?
Like I'm doing like the foot loose, like I'm just like
oh my god.
Oh,
doing a little
nice.
foot rub, yeah.
That's funny.
It just
Manny-
ticks me.
That's so
Manny
funny.
Hates it. He hates it. He also hates it when I walk around and brush my teeth at the same time.
Oh yeah, a little context. Andrea brushes her teeth for like 20 minutes,
I do. I'm sorry.
which I always tell her it's bad. You're probably rubbing off your enamel.
And I
but-
actually do have really bad enamel. Like I have a really thin layer, probably because I brushed it off from all the years of doing that.
Wow.
But I'm the kind of person where I can brush my teeth and like walk around the house. Like I'll water the plants. Like I'm doing. Like I literally am like with one hand brushing my
Brushing.
teeth and with the other hand like doing stuff.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'm sure Andrea has cooked while brushing her teeth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I like literally could read the Bible, brush my teeth. Like I literally like.
Oh, wow.
Just walk around, brush my teeth, and Manny hates it. He gets so mad.
That's
He's
interesting.
like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just brush my teeth."
Dude, I tried that. I would see that like in movies and stuff, and I'm like, okay, let me try this. But I guess I'm a lefty for those of you listening, and I don't think my brain is wired that way. I can only do one thing at a time, so I'm like, no, I'm just gonna sit here and finish brushing my teeth.
Yeah, I can't leave the sink. Yeah.
I couldn't.
And
No.
well,
Yeah, but I'm with you, Andrea. I think I would be doing the foot shuffle too.
yes,
for
you
sure.
gotta get whatever.
Don't start tonight, buddy.
No, I'm just saying, like, I just, it's something that I feel like I would do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't care.
An extra layer of cleanliness.
Yeah.
I guess.
Like I guess it's kind of the same but not really, but like I'll be aware of what I stepped on as I was out and about. And then I'll come home and then I'm like, okay, I was here. I need to rub my feet on the mat. Yeah, everybody has that welcome mat.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to rub my feet extra on the mat before I walk into my house. And I do that. So I do like my foot show. So I'm with you.
Yeah,
I
right.
got you.
It's
Yeah,
like a foot
it's
shuffle
like a thing.
Just gotta, yeah.
I
just
got
gotta Keep, yes.
I got you.
Weirdos.
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
All right. So, what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone that is about to get married?
Any context or
Whatever comes to your mind.
okay. I have one. And this is me personally speaking through my like accounting / finance literacy is just plan ahead. Always, always plan for the future. I think when something we experienced is we were so close minded and so focused on the marriage and the wedding, which I understand for women, a wedding is a big thing. But I was very intentional of like, okay, we're planning for that. Or not that I'll let you focus on that, but like we'll put emphasis on that, but also on our future. Like, okay, there's more than the wedding. There's more. There's more than the house too. There's more than the job. So just always be one step ahead, especially as a man. Always be ahead. Thinking of your finances, thinking of your job, thinking of what could happen 3-5 years from now. Always be ahead. So that's one thing I'll give to a guy who's about to get married.
That is
good.
true. I think for me, mine goes along with Manny's too. I think that mine is just talk about money. Talk about money and talk about how you make money, how you plan on making money, how you're going to save money, like what's your plan. And I think that goes with what Manny is saying is that from the beginning of our marriage, Manny has really pushed me to like not just think ahead, but to dream big. And he said, we have so many plans and we have all of this. Cool, but realistically, how can we make it happen? And he's like, well, let's save money and let's do this and let's plan for here. And maybe it's our business background that we've also just inherently are exposed to, money, and we work with numbers all day. But I think that anybody in any context, you can start with just, first of all, tithing. I think that for us too, that has also been a huge priority. Like since we got married, when we would talk about anything with finances, with money, we would always say, okay, but after we tithe, like, oh, we're gonna do this, and pay for this bill or whatever, but after we tithe. I think that making that a priority, we've seen God's grace and God's favor in our lives. And so like tithing is number one.
We have a rule about that actually. We can't pay any bill, we can't pay anything or buy anything
or move any money to savings
until we tithe.
Yeah.
Nice.
So our first thing coming out of our paycheck, the very, very first thing is tithing.
Nice.
Like as soon as we get paid, Amanda will tell me like, okay, let's tithe. Like we just got paid, let's tithe. And then I'll let him know, like, okay, we tithe, like it's in, and then we'll be like, okay, well let's pay, our bills. Let's move this money to savings, or let's pay out this, whatever. But it's always the first thing
is tithing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I think that if you talk about that while you're engaged going into marriage, how you're going to handle the finance part of it, you're not going to be like surprised or like, what? Like, I didn't know you wanted to do that for, like, or I didn't want to know. I didn't know this. So it's better to talk about that before you're married, because then once you are married, it's not a shock and it's not a topic of fighting, of like, oh, well, what? Like, I didn't know that you wanted to do this, or I didn't know you wanted to spend money on this, and talk about tithing, talk about how much money you want to save, talk about a certain percent, a certain amount, like, oh, every month when we get paid, I want us to save 10%. I want us to save 5%. I want us to save $20, whatever you can. And talk about also like what the goals are for the future. Like talk about where you're going. And I think that how Manny says, like, that's always been his role as the man, as he's always given our marriage and our he's given our checkbook a direction and a purpose. Because if you don't give money purpose, it just kind of like is there and you just do whatever with it and you end up buying dumb stuff that you don't need. But if you give money purpose, like, I am saving money for this, or we are saving money for this, to buy a car, to buy a house, to buy whatever. Or if we say we are saving money, or we are saving money so that we can bless others. Like, we have a fund where we can choose to, you know, pull out of that fund to bless others, to bless their family, friends, for gifts, whatever. So it's like, if you have those topics and you talk through all of that before you get married, that's going to be so much better. Because stats say, like, a huge reason why people get separated or topics of anger and like fighting is money, is finances. Because unfortunately, money doesn't pay the bills, and we need money to survive in this world. Like, we have to eat, we have to live somewhere, we have to drive to work, we have to pay bills. And I think that when you leave your, you know, I left out of my mom's home to move in with Manny into our home, and that was something new. I was like, oh snap, I have to pay for my own bills, and I have to pay for my own taxes, and like, oh my gosh, like what the heck is going on, you know? And so but I wasn't shocked, I wasn't surprised, I wasn't scared, because Manny and I had those talks, like, hey, we get married, we're gonna pay for this, we're gonna, you know, do this.
That's good.
And also talk about how you want to combine your finances. Something that Manny and I did is that we have one checkings account, you know, where both of our checks go into. So, because we like to say that it's our money. It's not my money and I make this money and Manny makes that money, and we have our own cards and we have our own. I mean, yeah, like, there are certain things that we have that we already had prior to being married. But it's important to have those talks too. Like, how do we want to go from 2 to 1? Because biblically, we are now one, and we're one family.
Right.
So how do we want to combine, not just physically, like spiritually, also in finances? Like, how do we want to combine our finances? Like, let's figure all that out before marriage. Like, let's go to the bank. Let's figure it out. Let's get new cards. Like, that stuff is so important. And I feel like people don't talk about that enough. Like, because it's not glamorous. It's not like, oh, yay, it's so exciting, we're going to, you know, share. Talk about how much you owe. Talk about debt. Talk about, hey, I owe these. I have these loans.
My credit score is a 430.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yes. Like, you want to talk about all that stuff. Your credit score. And my thing is, like, and I heard this somewhere, is that it's crazy how some couples will hide that from their spouse. Like, you know, they'll hide certain money or certain cards or whatever. And it's crazy because, like, in marriage, like, you are so vulnerable with somebody. Like, how do you share a bed with somebody? How do you share physical intimacy with somebody? How do you let somebody, like, see the inside of you, of your body and everything, but not trust them with your wallet? Like, how do you, you know, like, how, like, somebody would, how is it that I would rather you share the same bed with me and, like, all of that, but no, don't see my, like, don't touch my wallet, like, don't touch my wallet, like, that's mine, you know? And in marriage, there's nothing that's mine. It's all ours.
Yeah, I think, you know, if all married couples should and need, you know, a combined checkings account. I guess there's, you know, there's certain exclusions, but I think it's very important to combine your finances, because it's, you know, you're being transparent with your spouse. I think it's very hard being transparent when you have different, you know, checkbooks and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's very important to just combine all your finances into one.
That's good.
Awesome. 100%. If you guys are interested, check out Dave Ramsey.
Oh yeah,
he has an awesome radio show. Well, podcast, whatever you're going to call it now in 2024. But the top 2 things that he says when you're before you get married, you want to make sure that your values align, share the same values in all aspects, that you have the same ideas about money, that you guys are talking about it, and that you guys share well, I guess it falls into values like your beliefs, you know, religion, if it's applicable, right? It's very hard to have a successful marriage if one of you believes in God and one of you doesn't. It's very hard if the religions are different. You know, a Christian and a Catholic, a Christian and a Buddhist or a Muslim or, you know, whatever. So you want to make sure that those things align.
Right.
Because recently, I had a conversation with somebody that they were like, well, you know, things are getting pretty serious, and you know, we might, you know, I think we're going to start considering marriage. It's just that yeah, and we both believe in God, but one was like one branch of Christianity and one was like another branch of Christianity. And I was like, well, like that's important to talk about because you will have kids at one point. Well, God willing. So who's gonna teach what? You know, like one of you believes, you know, you're saved. This is just an example. One of you believes you're saved by works, and one of you believes you're saved by faith and by grace alone, through Christ alone. So, you know, do I have to say 10 Hail Marys or God, Jesus forgives you? You know, which one? Like, oh, dang, you know, we didn't think about that. I'm like, well, you might want to chat about that.
Talk that through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
because then once you're married,
It's too late.
God willing, like God willing, when you get married, it's for a lifetime. It's for forever. So it's like if you don't like something, it's too late to back out. Like you're already there, and so you do have to work through that. If even with two people having the same religion, the same beliefs, it can still be difficult, and you can still, you know, kind of have your own views on how you want to raise kids or what you want to prioritize or whatever. Imagine throwing different views in the mix. That is a little hard.
It's like, well, I believe, you know, when we have kids, how are you going to raise them? I believe in spanking. Well, I don't believe in spanking. You better not touch my kid. And it's like, well, sometimes they need a little, you know, little belt there.
Yeah,
you
they
know,
sure do.
And like, no, you better not. It's like, well, that's going to be a topic. You know, it's going to come out.
For sure.
So anyhow, any.
We wanted to. I don't know if it's quick or if you wanted.
Oh
to
yeah, no, let's do it. Let's do it.
Can you...
We have a little surprise for y'all.
Oh.
So we're gonna try something new. You guys are the first ones.
Okay.
So it's gonna be.
You guys are our guinea pigs.
Guinea pigs.
Just questions that we're gonna ask you, and you guys have to answer them like
Rapid
honestly
fire.
and quick.
Rapid fire round.
Okay.
Hot seat. You have 5 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
To
some of them
answer.
are deep. So, okay. So first question: what's the biggest risk you've taken?
I don't think I could answer that in 5 seconds.
No, this one. These two are the first two are a little deep. So
Okay.
yeah.
30 seconds. Okay.
Dang, that one was so intense.
What's the biggest risk?
The biggest risk I've taken, I think, is choosing to do my career. Like that's a risk. Like I didn't know if it was gonna work out. I didn't know if I was gonna be good at it. So that was a risk for me.
Okay.
Awesome.
I think my biggest risk was, I know it sounds a little bad, but my biggest risk was getting married, you know, just becoming a man, but came with the biggest reward though. So
Let's go.
Awesome.
Bet big, win big, right?
yep, yeah.
I love it, man.
High risk, high reward, right?
Yes.
All right. Who snores?
Manny.
Oh, me, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, Manny.
Nice. Favorite movie?
500 Days of Summer.
I want to say the Titanic. I just
Nice.
love that movie. I can watch it every day.
Nice.
Favorite non-Christian song and artist?
Okay. Well, mine is Whatever Happened by The Strokes, and The Strokes is my favorite band.
Okay.
Nice.
Right now I'm into like a Spanish pop kind of genre, and so there's this band called Noa Pino Palo, and yeah, I'm really into them, and they're not Christian, but I love their music.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Never heard of them before.
They're really, really good. They're like a smaller, like, indie band. They're from Monterrey. And I don't even know how I found them. I think Manny showed me like a song one day, and I just deep dove into them. And I'm like really into like Spanish pop.
Okay.
Nice.
Maná.
Mana,
Caifanes.
Villanova.
Café Tacuba.
Oh yeah.
Enanitos
Zoe.
Verdes.
Zoe is a
Yeah, I
good
love
one.
Zoe.
Yeah, I'm really into that.
Nice. Okay. Do you prefer pizza with pineapple or without?
With.
With pineapple.
Yes.
Let's go.
We both agree on that. Yeah. Thank
go.
God.
All right. What is, in your almost 2 years of marriage, what is your favorite quirk about each other?
I want to say mine is that, like, Manny is so he's so clean. Like, he cares so much about looking like good. Like, he always irons his clothes. He'll always do his hair. Like, he'll always have some sort of cologne on, even if it's like a body spray. Like, he just always is looking like presentable. Versus I feel like I have no shame and I will leave the house looking a hot mess. But I think Manny has slowly shown me his ways too. Like, yeah, he's very clean.
So we're not gonna catch Manny in those typical, shows where it's the balding, beer belly dude with the muscle shirt and the mustard stains.
No, never. If you literally bump into Manny at midnight at Walmart, you better believe, like, he ironed his shirt, he ironed his pants, like, he's wearing some clean, he put on some spray. If he didn't do his hair, he's wearing a hat, like, something. Like,
Nice.
you're not gonna catch
That's
him,
funny.
like, slipping. Mm-mm.
So basically, when Manny passes by, I'm gonna change your ringtone on my phone, bro. When Manny passes by, all you hear is some
The
Old
Old
Spice.
Oh my god.
That's funny. I think one favorite quirk about Andrea is that she's so disciplined. Like, when she says she's going to do something, she does it. I am the opposite. I am a procrastinator. So when Andrea studies, she's in her office, does studies for 2-3 hours nonstop, not on her phone. And I that has motivated me, now that I started school, has helped me become disciplined in that part too. But that's one thing I love about Andrea. And I learn from a lot to this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can travel anywhere in the world for dinner, where would you want to go?
South Korea.
I was gonna say South Korea.
Yeah.
Yes. I've always wanted to visit South Korea. I watch K-dramas. So for all my K-drama girlies out there, I love K-dramas. I'm not into K-pop, but the K-dramas get me in the heart every time.
Wow.
And so South Korea is one country that I hope to
Would
visit
like
one
to
day.
go.
wow.
Yeah, I really want to go.
Nice. Do you guys like Korean food?
I
Yeah,
do,
we
yes.
love it.
There's a really great place here in the
Here
Northeast. Yeah.
I think I've told you.
On Dyer, no?
On
Yes,
Dyer.
yes,
Galbi
on Dyer.
House.
Galbi House. Yes.
Dude.
It's like a hole in the wall. Like, you walk in and, like,
Some
the people-
flies everywhere. Be on your food too. But those are they sleep in the restaurant. That's their home.
Yeah, like, you low key,
wow.
like the waitresses barely speak English. Like, it's the best. Like, I love it.
Yeah,
I'm
Like,
yeah.
they're probably talking smack in their own language.
Yeah.
know.
yes. But
It's so good.
It's
when you know
really
it's
good.
real. But you know when you walk in and there's other people of that same, like, ethnicity that are also in there eating the food, I'm like, oh yeah.
It's
Because
legit.
you never catch, like, a Mexican eating, like
Taco Bell.
some Taco Bell. Yeah, like, no, like, you want to go where, like, you feel like it's genuine food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love Korean food.
Yeah, every time I play at Northeast, that's our thing. We go to Kalbi right after.
Yeah.
That's our excuse to go to Kalbi.
Yeah,
good.
we'll go to Calvi after.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now I know. You guys got to take us next time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. We need to
it's
check
so
it out.
good. I love it. Yeah.
All right.
I think the only thing I've tried that I like Korean, because it's not, I prefer Chinese.
Oh yeah.
But Korean, I think their spices can be a little
Yes.
strong.
Yeah.
That's spicy. Like, even as a
Yeah.
Mexican, I'm like, damn. Like, catch
Yes.
myself coughing sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and even more so, like, kimchi and, like, certain things have like a particular taste. So I know that, like, not everybody likes it.
Right.
So yeah, it can be a little different.
Are you guys picky eaters?
As long as it doesn't have onion. I'm good.
You're picky eater, man.
Yeah.
Someone says no onion,
Yeah,
no
someone
garlic.
says no onion, no garlic,
Picky.
no tomato, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
No, I think he's really not. He's not picky.
Oh, and I can't do octopus.
I love octopus.
Bro, you're a picky eater.
Have
man.
you seen those? Not like the baby ones, but have you seen like how they cook like the big ones, and they'll like not like they'll like kind of grill the
tentacle,
tentacles. Man, I eat that up. It
Really?
is so
So
bomb.
good, man.
It's so good. It's so good. There's a fish restaurant in Juarez that I love to go to that literally makes that dish, and I love it.
Really?
Yes.
Dang.
Pulpo is pretty bomb.
Really? Like, so when they grill it, what's the texture?
It like has like a, you know what? It kind of has like a shrimp texture, because you know how shrimp when it's cooked, it's just kind of squishy, but like still like hard, but not like mushy or anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I do like that, and it honestly does kind of have a little shrimp like flavor to it, like taste. I think it is similar.
Did you have a bad experience with octopus once, or you just didn't like it?
I think when I was a kid, we went to Villa del Mar in Juarez, and my mom ordered some plate, and it had octopus. And I remember when she scooped it up, the tentacle was still like squirming.
No.
What?
It squirmed on the spoon, and boom, in the hole. And I was like, ugh, heck
But
no.
did she know it was moving? She just
Yeah,
still
yeah.
ate it?
Yeah,
She was like, whatever.
That's the best.
Yeah.
When it's moving.
That's how you know it's fresh.
Fresh, exactly.
It's fresh.
But see, going back, it's your mind telling you, no, man. I think you need therapy for that.
I think
I'm gonna go to therapy so
that
that I could eat octopus.
I think that triggers something in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more texture for you that you can't. You'll do it or you don't.
I don't know. It's kind of taste too, but I'm not picky. Those are my two no-nos, man. That's it.
But you don't like shrimp either.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Oh,
so
yeah.
maybe it's
Can't
like
do.
Like
and
a
I
seafood.
love shrimp. I love seafood. Like I tell Manny, my favorite food is like sushi, poke, any of that stuff. I don't know what it is about raw seafood. I think I have a problem. But like I literally can eat seafood every single day and
Really?
Not get
bored.
tired?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I tell Manny, like, I'm really gonna suffer when I'm pregnant because you're not supposed to eat like raw fish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
love it so much.
The mercury.
Yes.
Yeah.
And smells. I mean, your sense of smell is going to be stronger. So
Yeah.
It
Maybe I
might
won't
be-
even like it when I'm
Yeah.
pregnant. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe I won't suffer too much, but
Yeah.
I love it.
wow. There you
Great
go.
conversation,
Awesome.
guys.
Yeah.
We are at the 2-hour mark.
Oh, wow.
Time flew.
That really flew by.
Yeah.
That really flew by.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome conversations.
Yeah.
So thank you, man.
Yes.
Thank you guys for popping in
Yes.
and sharing a little bit of your story and just being an awesome couple, man. Like truly, if there's young couples that we can point to say, hey, we trust this couple to give you guys like a good advice type of thing, I think we definitely point them to you guys. So
We learned a lot from you guys, so it's awesome.
yeah,
Thank you, guys.
great stuff, man. Anything else you guys want to say to the listeners before closing out?
I mean, no, I think just Jesus loves you.
No.
Oh,
Don't be afraid
That's
of
awesome.
therapy.
there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Be very afraid of octopus.
Yeah. If you like a girl, tell her happy birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go.
That's
She
your
might
in.
she might answer.
Just
Who
shoot the
knows?
There
shot.
you go.
Just
Yeah.
shoot the
Yeah.
shot.
That's your in. Just
Yes.
DM her.
Yeah.
There you
Steph Curry.
Yeah.
What's the worst she can say, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You're already not dating her.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You're already at the
So,
worst part.
You might as well.
Might as well.
Like, oh wait, nothing changed after this.
That's awesome.
Guys, we had an absolute blast. Thank you guys for tuning in. As Miss Andrea said, Jesus loves you. We pray for you all. And till the next one.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Peace.
Peace.